The Harvest Show, where faith makes a world of difference.
Hello and welcome to another edition of The Harvest Show. Well, America has spoken and the 45th President of the United States has been selected, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. But first, reaching at-risk students with the founder of Five Star Life, Seth Maust, shares his game plan to keep middle schoolers from dropping out. And we want to know what Israelis think of the new President-elect Donald Trump. Middle East correspondent Brian Bush has the latest reaction from Israel. And we need your help to send Bibles around the world. Later, we will tell you how you can help us spread the word. As I said, the 45th President of the United States no longer will be called the Donald. He'll be called
Mr.
President or Mr. President-elect Donald Trump. Your thoughts, you guys? Did you stay up all night and watch?
A couple of guys who did stay up throughout the night and watched, and I don't think it was necessarily. Well, there's a lot of nuance to this election. I think number one, there are a lot of people who feel that for too long their views and their values have been overlooked. And they wanted to have their chance to say something about that, and they did. I also think that there's a lot of distrust of Hillary Clinton specifically.
And political establishment.
And political establishment in general. So I think that was another thing that fueled Trump moving on to the White House. And I also think that in his speech, which we'll hear a little bit of during the international news, he hit the proper conciliatory tones. This is a nation that is a very divided nation that needs healing, that needs to unite, and needs to get past what has happened in the last 18 months.
You know, I felt like this election after around 9:00 p.m., I felt like this was a referendum on the Washington establishment. I mean, the FBI reopening the case, yes, that had a lot to do with it, but I think Americans have said, you know, don't forget about the working middle class voter, don't forget about us. And I think that we saw that in droves, you know, when states that would normally went for President Obama, I mean, 2 times in 2008 and 2012. Flipped. And in Florida, that all-important state, I mean, some of the swing counties there in Pensacola and areas in St. Petersburg, those flipped for Donald Trump.
Florida, one of 6 two-time Obama states that went to Trump.
And saw just that wave kind of moving across the country. When it got to the middle part, the Rust Belt, the break in the big blue wall, as they were referring it to last night, not just Ohio, but obviously Indiana being red, but then Michigan being right there in play, Wisconsin being right there in play. It obviously began to look like a landslide. And honestly, to see this in this year, you know, with Brexit and with the Cubs winning the World Series, it's just kind of par for the course. And to think that Donald Trump beat out possibly the deepest and well-heeled and most experienced bench of Republicans in the primary in modern memory, to go on and to defeat what many individuals and many organizations have called the most well-experienced and the most qualified person to ever run for president of the United States, Hillary Clinton, while fighting not just the Democrats, the opposing party, but fighting his own party, the Republicans, fighting the media at large, and fighting just the way politics are done. You know, he didn't have surrogates out there on the stump and campaigning for him throughout the campaign. And when the people in the know recommended this is what you need to do, he trusted his instincts and his guts. He had confidence in his ability to see things, which in the end proved to be the right thing to do.
Until the last 10 days, when he somewhat tempered that rhetoric somewhat and came across as more presidential.
He did.
And I think that resonated.
From a strategic point, I'm thinking with advertising and with the ground game, and again with surrogates out there on the campaign trail, there is no playbook on how to beat a candidate like Donald Trump.
But clearly from the election, wouldn't you say this is a deeply divided, I mean, the division, it was just South against North.
No question. And that's where our work as Christians comes in today. Pray, 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 pray for our nation that it will somehow find a way to heal.
I'm sure we will, through the power of prayer. Hey, we want to know your thoughts about the election. You can join the conversation on Facebook and Twitter and send your emails directly to the Set of Harvest at live@LeSEA.com. World News is next.
And now on this Wednesday, November 9th, 2016, here's what's happening in your world. His supporters did not like Washington, so now Donald Trump is going there. Last night, in one of the great political upsets ever, Trump was elected the 45th president of the United States of America. The election wound into the wee hours of this morning before Trump received a concession call from Democrat Hillary Clinton.
I pledge to every citizen of our land that I will be president for all Americans, and this is so important to me. For those who have chosen not to support me in the past, of which there were a few people, I'm reaching out to you for your guidance and your help so that we can work together and unify our great country.
Trump added that it is time for America to bind the wounds of division and time for us to come together as one. How did this happen? American University political professor Elizabeth Sherman said Trump's message on immigration and globalization appealed to many voters.
I think the blue-collar workers in Ohio, in Michigan, in New Hampshire, in Kansas, they've seen their factories shut down. And I think they feel like, wait a minute, the big steel mills are gone. Wait a minute, the big auto plant has shut down. And I think they feel someone is to blame for this. I'll tell you who's to blame. It's the government. And that's exactly what Trump said.
Sherman also says she believes Democrats overestimated their strength in the swing states of Florida and North Carolina, and Hillary Clinton struggled to find a core message. Exit polling shows Americans who went to the polls in one of the nastiest and most divisive political contests ever are still deeply divided. And reaction around the world isn't that much different than here in the U.S. It depends to whom you're talking. French Foreign Minister Jean-Marc Ayrault said France said Trump's win could hold a cautionary message for Europe. Vladimir Putin has said Russia wants to restore full relations with the U.S., and Iran is warning the United States must continue to uphold its end of the nuclear agreement. We told you yesterday how the markets might react, and they have followed suit with sharp declines today. However, a European market analyst says the reaction to the election of Trump has been more orderly than when Britain voted to leave the European Union in June.
I think markets will remain very volatile because ultimately I think this result, if I could compare it to dropping a rock in a very large pond, it's going to create an awful lot of ripples. Some sectors are going to do well, some probably not so well. Pharmaceutical stocks are doing well because I think there's potential for Mr. Trump to get rid of Obamacare.
We'll see what Wall Street does. Currently, Dow Jones futures are down more than 250 points before the opening bell. And more than 1,000 civilians from the northern outskirts of Raqqa managed to escape to safety Tuesday as operations continue to free the city from the Islamic State group. The civilians reached an area under the control of the Syrian Democratic Forces, a U.S.-backed coalition of Kurdish and Arab militias who are currently moving against the city. Footage taken north of Raqqa showed some smoke from an airstrike and burning structures rising over the horizon, with Syrian Defense Force fighters occupying positions. Coming up later, Brian Bush has the latest news from Israel. But up next, the founder of 5 Star Life, Seth Maust, shares his game plan to keep middle schoolers from dropping out. We're right back with more Harvest after this.
When Jesus gave his great commission to go into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature, he was not just speaking to his disciples, he was speaking to you and me. through the outreaches of LeSEA Broadcasting's television, shortwave radio, free Bible distribution, and prayer line, souls come to faith and are saved every day. As a financial partner with LeSEA Broadcasting, you too will be investing into the lives of men, women, and children as we proclaim God's Word around the world together. LeSEA Broadcasting Partners in Faith make it possible for millions to hear the Word of God in over 190 countries. You can be a partner in faith with us for as little as a monthly gift of $25. Your gifts help LeSEA Broadcasting bring life, hope, and love into a dark world. Call 1-800-365-3732 and tell the prayer operator you want to be a partner in faith. That's 1-800-365-3732. Be a part of the Great Commission.
Seth Maust's background as a college basketball player, youth pastor, and high school basketball coach prepared him for his God-given destiny and inspired to act by the alarming school dropout rates, drug use, and other really just problems in our school systems. Seth co-founded 5 Star Life, a ministry that's focused on reaching students that statistically slip through the cracks. Good to have you with us today, sir. Again.
Thanks for having me on.
Lots been happening since the last time that you were on to share about 5 Star, but just to kind of go back a bit, in a nutshell, tell us a little bit about 5 Star Life and its mission and its purpose.
Sure. Well, I always start by talking about why start another nonprofit. There's so many of them, so many youth serving agencies. But it started with the dropout rate. 7,000 students drop out of school every single school day in America. 7,000.
Wow.
A visual of that, I was to give a visual, put a student in a school desk, stack one on top of another, you'd reach the height of the Empire State Building. Now do that 12 times. That's what's happening every day in America with students dropping out. So we wanted to target that. We started talking to high school principals, looked at all the data, and it pointed to students were slipping through the cracks after school in the ages of middle school. They might drop out their freshman or sophomore year, but all the high school principals would say the dropout bubble happens, really, they check out in middle school.
Right,
they drop
that's
out
where
in high
it starts.
School. Yeah.
Wow.
And between the hours, I'd imagine between 3 o'clock and 6 p.m. is that's where kids are left alone, unsupervised because their parents are at work. So what are you doing to get them before they get to high school to stop them from, to stop that dropout?
Sure.
rate?
I mean, middle school is when they form their own relationships, poor study habits. They start to lose hope in their own educational process, and then that leads to dropout. But we reached them. We started with after-school programs because that's where kids are slipping through the cracks. And we'd bring in, mentors, coaches that would work with students. We had a real focus on academics. So we'd say, this is where you are academically, the first week of the program. Where do you want to be in 6 or 8 weeks? And have them set goals. As a result, 70% of our students raise their GPA or maintain a 3.0 or above. So we're getting it done there. And then we have a character curriculum that has just taken off that is not just keeping them off the streets or keeping them in activities, but giving them a map to how do I make decisions? How do I live a 5-star life, my best life?
The name, 5 Star, what's the significance there?
It's the best of the best. I mean, ultimately,
Okay,
we want
so you got
students
like a
to
3-star,
live,
4-star,
you got 5 star. So
yeah.
every when you talk to any teacher, just about any district across this nation, which I do a lot. We're growing, expanding very quickly. We've actually gone from about 3,000 students that we reached the last time I was on the show to 10,000 in the last 18 months because of a video curriculum program that actually we're taking into the school day part of the program. So we train teachers, they implement the program, and as a result, discipline issues are going away. A desire to learn. There's a huge disconnect in students' minds between why do I have to learn this? Why am I here? How is this going to matter later on?
So this really goes to some essential elements of humanity and who we are as individuals and as people. Are there any particular triggers that you've discovered that can kind of break through the noise, break through the fog, break through some of the things that these kids are experiencing in their lives that gives them that aha moment to say, okay, I can make decisions in my life that I don't have to let my environment control me?
Well, you think about, our target market is 5th grade all the way through 10th, 11th, 12th grade. Huge transitions, biologically, relationally, educationally. And our students are being faced with, think about the internet, think about social media, think about all the peer pressure, think about the political, the things that are out there. racism, gender identity. The biggest trigger is they're trying to figure out who they are. What do they stand for? And do I have value? And does my life matter? And they're being, hit from every angle. And the message is, you're really insignificant. You're just a number. You're just a statistic. You're this, you're that. And we're saying, no, listen, you can live a 5-star life. Your life matters. And guess what? Your future success is contingent on one thing: your effort, your drive, what you do with it, taking responsibility. It's one of our 5 core values.
You know, Seth, I used to be a teacher, and whenever I taught at-risk students, and whenever I ran into someone who could help my students, I would just, please, come along, help my students so that they can graduate. I'd imagine you have teachers coming to you saying, please, here's a student, I've identified this person. Is that something, so do you work hand in hand with the teachers as well?
Yeah, so again, we have two kind of flagship programs. One is after school, working with middle school students.
Right.
And we work very closely with social workers, teachers that recommend students for our programs. And then the other program is this video curriculum that entire schools are implementing during the school day in their classrooms, where they're walking through these things. So yes, teachers actually go through, the whole school goes through training on how to coach students. They really become life coaches in the classrooms.
Scripture tells us to be as wise as serpents and innocent as doves. And 5-Star Life is a faith-based ministry, but you're working in the public school sector, and the big, wall that we say is there between church and state. How does that integrate? How do you integrate some of the core values and the core components of faith in that kind of a ministry place? Sure.
I always say this. When I was a youth pastor, I really was not aware of what was happening in public education. And I'm almost embarrassed to say this. I really didn't care. That was the world, and I think sometimes the church lives there. They're unaware, and they almost don't care. Yeah. And so for me, as we started 5-Star Life, and I came across all these statistics, all this data, I started to care. And instead of going in and almost having this proselytization mentality, I went in with this Jesus mentality, servant leadership. Yeah. What can we do to help? And as a result, there's a lot of ministry opportunities that open up.
Okay, I know you must have quite a few success stories, so tell us a few of them.
Oh gosh, just last night I was with a student who, he's a junior in high school, he's on honor roll, he's on this tennis team, but he moved here out of Chicago, and his mom was simply trying to get him out of what they've generations of poverty, of gangs, of the south side of Chicago, the murder capital of the world, right? And she said, we've got to get out. They ended up moving to Elkhart. First week of school, he enrolls in a new school, and guess what? He gets suspended, gets into a fight. And so that followed him. She reached out to the school staff and they said, your son needs 5-Star. Well, they tried to sign him up, but there's a waiting list. There's actually a demand for our program, and he didn't get in. And we found a way to get him in. And he went from like a 1.2 GPA to a 3.0 GPA. He's just leveled out, and he's doing incredible things. That's one of thousands of stories where students start to come alive because the ball is in their court.
And you mentioned you've gone from about 3,000 kids to 5-Star now, helping 10,000 children. You're starting to spread out to other states, so there's a big growth curve that the organization, the ministry, is going through. How can people get engaged, involved, and kind of see the value and get behind what 5-Star is doing?
Yeah, that's a great question. And probably 3 years ago, I would have said, pray for us, send a donation, that type of thing. But now we have this scalable model where they can bring 5-Star to their school. It's a video curriculum program that they can spread across their whole district, and it's very reasonable, it's very affordable, and the impact is significant. So go to 5starlife.org. You can learn more about all of our programs. You can volunteer, you can donate, you can bring 5-Star to your school.
Wonderful, wonderful. I want to thank you so much for being with us today on Harvest. Seth Maust, co-founder of 5-Star Life, and to connect with Seth and this great ministry that really is changing the lives of thousands of students each and every day. Maybe bring it to your community, your school district as well. You can go to 5starlife.org or go to our website, harvest-tv.com. You'll find an easy way to link back to 5-Star. Coming up later, your prayer requests, but up next, something we've been waiting for. We're going to hear from Brian Bush with the latest on Israeli reactions to the U.S. presidential election. We'll be right back. You know, it only takes $6 to feed one of these children for a whole month. That's why we're asking you to become part of Every Child, Every Day. These children have fled the horrors of war from South Sudan, but they're receiving a daily meal, and they're receiving not just food, but the hope of a brighter future. Whatever it is that you can do, we need your help today because the children keep coming out of South Sudan, and we need to feed them. We can't say to one, you can have lunch today, but sorry, no lunch for you.
If you want to do more and be more, but your stamina runs out of steam, you need the top-selling Essential Vitamin Mineral Pack by Dr. Rodrigo Rodriguez. The Doctor's Making Healthy Choices Essential Pack costs only $59.95, but the health benefits are priceless. You get mineral concentrate, an unsurpassed formula of trace minerals essential to good health. Omega-3 for overall vascular support and healthy brain function. Vita Sprouts, a superior form of multivitamins, and you get Sol UC for a strong immune system. That's mineral concentrate, omega-3, Vita Sprouts, and Sol UC. An incredible value for only $59.95. And if you act now, shipping is free. Call 1-800-965-2345 or go to mhclife.com to get the Doctor's Essential Pack from Making Healthy Choices. That's 1-800-965-2345 or mhclife.com.
Hello, everybody. Before commenting upon the reaction here in the Middle East to the stunning upset victory for Donald Trump, in a developing story in Syria, there has been a U.S.-led coalition airstrike that has killed at least 16 civilians in a village north of Raqqa. Now for our main story, the Middle East this morning clung to its media devices as the U.S. election results unfolded before their eyes. Both Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu and Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas have now congratulated President-elect Donald Trump. This while many government Israeli ministers have called for a formal end to the two-state solution with the Palestinians. Egyptian President Fattah el-Sisi released a statement congratulating Mr. Trump. Turkey's President Erdogan has called upon Mr. Trump to extradite the U.S.-based Muslim cleric Fethullah Gulen, blamed by Ankara for the failed coup attempt last July. The region itself is in a bit of shock. It seems that it was not what people were expecting to wake up to this morning, because with a Hillary Clinton win, there would be this sense of continuity, a sense that there would be little change in policy for the Middle East. Lastly, many have asked, where does Donald Trump, the now president-elect, stand when it comes to issues important to Israel? Well, number one, as I mentioned yesterday on the Harvest Show, he has pledged moving the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem from Tel Aviv. That is a huge action with all kinds of implications for Israel that they want to see. Secondly, he has a lot of people giving him advice right now that is anti-Palestinian concerning the peace process, settlements, and Palestinian rights. Thirdly, there is no question that he is for a strong Israel militarily and in allied aims for the region. Lastly, like Israel, Mr. Trump is anti-Iranian nuclear agreement. Friends, that's a wrap of your news. The Harvest Show continues right after this.
Got Facebook? Follow The Harvest Show.
Comment and share your opinions on current events.
See new after the show guest interviews.
Watch my updates and inspiration from Israel exclusively for Facebook.
Facebook.com/The Harvest Show. Like us today.
What if I told you that there's a place full of loved ones' photos that gets prayed for regularly? Prayer offers a direct line to God, so who couldn't use a little more of it? Getting yourself or your loved ones on this wall is as easy as click and send. The chapel at LeSEA Prayer Line has a wall of love that's waiting to be filled up. Just email your pictures to prayer@lesea.com. That's it. Our chapel has been a focal point for prayer for the last 18 years. Let our prayer team pray for you.
A reminder, for the rest of 2016, we are trying to help provide a Bible to someone In these 3 countries specifically, Nicaragua, Honduras, Uganda, some people there just cannot get their hands on a Bible, and we want to help them out. It's a great way for you to be a Christian missionary without even having to leave your living room. 1-800-365-3732, or you can go online to our website at LeSEA.com and help put a Bible into somebody's hand. It only costs you $5. We've got some prayer requests that have trickled in today. I want to make sure we have time for those. Valerie, what do we have?
Okay, Wally from South Carolina, please pray with me in prayer. I lost a much-loved sister last week and my wife last night. I am really hurting. Randy from Colorado, please pray for my pastor that the Lord will give him the much-needed money to run his church. And Paul is a doctor and needs necessary finances by the end of the month in order to pay his staff. Stephen, would you pray for us?
Absolutely. Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to pray today and for these needs, as well as those that our viewers and our friends, our partners are expressing right this moment in the areas of healing, in the areas of reconciliation, in the areas of financial breakthroughs, Lord. And we lift them up to you, knowing that you are our hope, you are our anchor and our Redeemer. We thank you for moving on their behalf to make your will known and felt in Jesus' name. Amen.
There's only one place on earth where Jesus walked, where Jesus ministered. Only one place where he calmed the sea, and one place where he conquered death. And you can see it for yourself with LeSEA Tours. I want to invite you to come and experience the Bible on a life-changing pilgrimage to the Holy Land, February 14th through the 23rd. You know the story. Now witness it for yourself. Call the number on the screen or go online to register for the trip of a lifetime.
Imagine a world where every man, woman, and child had a Bible. There'd be more love, more compassion, more peace. The Word of God has the power to transform broken lives, but only if we share it with those who don't know the good news. Jesus said, "I am the bread of life. He that cometh to me shall never hunger." Help us spread the word by giving to LeSEA Broadcasting. We're teaming up with Feed the Hungry to get Bibles into as many hands as possible. Each $5 you give between now and December 31st will provide a Bible to one person. We need your help to send 100,000 Bibles to the people of Nicaragua, Uganda, and Honduras. A gift of $5 provides one Bible, $25 sends 5, and a gift of $180 provides a case of 36 Bibles to those in need. Any amount will help. Please don't wait. Pray about your gift and then call 1-800-365-3732 to give today.
The Harvest Show is produced by LeSEA Broadcasting and is viewer supported by people just like you. Thank you for inviting us into your home today.